Hello everyone, this is a very important video, a complete guidebook, a quick reference guide for all project managers and Lean Six Sigma practitioners. We will cover a step-by-step Lean Six Sigma DMAIC project roadmap. This can be used as a reference guide for any DMAIC project. Let's look at a step-by-step Lean Six Sigma DMAIC project roadmap. Six Sigma DMAIC is a disciplined, data-driven, statistical tool-based problem-solving approach to improve process capabilities. So let's simplify Lean Six Sigma and DMAIC. So DMAIC stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Let's understand DMAIC in simple words. So we define the customer and the problem. We measure the current performance and quantify the problem. We analyze and identify the root cause of the problem. Then we improve performance by implementing the solution. And finally, we control performance and sustain improvement. In DMAIC project, there are no wild guesswork. Data-driven decisions are validated and implemented because what cannot be measured cannot be monitored. What cannot be monitored cannot be analyzed. What cannot be analyzed cannot be improved. And what cannot be improved cannot be controlled. We will look at each phase step by step. Hi, my name is Ramchandra Lonkar. This complete reference guidebook is created mainly to share knowledge and skills. This is to give back to society. This is why I've tried to simplify the methodology and created this guidebook in the easiest possible form so that even a common man can understand it. Please make use of this and share this with others. In Lean Six Sigma, we always look at the business from the customer perspective. The customer can be internal customer, stakeholder, or even a cross-functional team member. The external customer or the end user of the product or service. So let's define or specify the customer first. We will understand critical customer requirement. This is like actively listening to the voice of your customer. In order to define the problem, we need to summarize key issues of the customer in specific terms. This will help us identify a potential Lean Six Sigma project. This is something to do with customer requirement. So we will soon have a separate video on how to identify a potential Lean Six Sigma project. So here I've tried to list down a few areas with a potential Lean Six Sigma project that you can identify from your service level agreement, your performance metrics, your process dashboards, your voice of customer, process SOPs, stakeholder requirements, your bottom line performance, top line requirement, competition, or market trends. Let's summarize what we've covered so far. We define who the customer is, what customer demands, what is the problem, where do we stand currently. This is important. When we identify the problem, we get data to statistically check where do we stand and where do we want to go. For example, let's say I find out my weight is 85 kg and it should be 70 kg. So the target is to reduce weight from 85 kg to 70 kg. And let's say 3 months, 4 months. So where we are is the baseline performance. And where we want to go is the future performance, improved performance. That's the target. Let's take another example, a service industry example. Customer satisfaction score are 35% for the business. Target is to improve customer satisfaction scores to 85%. That is where we want to go. We know that Lean Six Sigma is a powerful methodology. It can be applied to everything. We can use it for personal excellence, process excellence. We can use it in different industries, small or big size. We can translate any business activity into quantifiable language and understand how we can improve productivity and profitability by reducing existing defects. We will cover an important aspect of project management in our next project identification workshop. We will discuss how to identify improvement opportunity, how to check if a problem qualifies to be a Lean Six Sigma project, and project classification as yellow, green, and a black belt project. Let's discuss key components of define phase. So the define phase ideally should have a project charter. This project charter will have a business case, a project goal, project problem statement, scope of the project, milestones, and expected benefits. This will also have CTQ identification, where we will do a voice of customer to CTQ Drilldown. It will have project metric as to what is the project why and so on. We will define what the defect is. This project charter, the define phase, will also have expected quality net savings or financial benefits. Project team will be identified with roles and responsibilities. Project team communication plan will be set. It is important. The project team ARMI or RACI metrics will be a part of it to ensure that we have clearly defined stages and phases as to who will approve, who will be responsible, who will be accountable for the task, and so on. Stakeholders are important. So the stakeholder analysis with possible threat and opportunity metric, project timelines or a Gantt chart will be a part of it. It should also have as is SIPOC and a level 2 process map or a current state value stream map. These are important aspects fundamental aspects of the defined phase. Let's discuss the project charter and its framework to understand what to do and how to do it. So in a project charter, we have business case. We'll quickly check what is the framework, how the business case needs to be written, and then we'll discuss what it is. So business case should have a quick overview of the business. It should have why we are doing the project. More importantly, we should be able to explain why we are doing it now. What is the business impact if the project is not done, and how this project will improve current situation. This is all that should be covered in a business case. You can subscribe this channel and be connected, because I will share detailed insights, step-by-step project case studies specific to the industry phase problems, specific learning modules on, let's say, turnaround time improvement, customer satisfaction improvement, accuracy improvement, productivity improvement, and so on. So we will have different learning modules separately, and in these different learning modules we will cover how the business case is written, and in those business case or the project case studies you would be able to relate these learnings, this framework. Now let's move on to the problem statement. The problem statement should always cover what is the problem, where is the problem, when is the problem, how much is the problem, and the impact of the problem. Now once you've identified and defined the problem, you should be able to set the goal. Now setting the goal is very important, because it should be smart. Smart, as you know, your goal has to be specific. You should be able to measure whatever the problem is, whatever the solution is, whatever your improvement is. You should be able to measure. Your goal should have assignable characteristics. So it should be assignable, it should be realistic and time bound. You should be able to put different phases and stages and different time frame, and that's how the project milestone comes in the picture. So let's say, when will you start your define phase and when will you end that? When the measure phase will start, when the tentative measure phase dates are. So these timelines in the project milestones that you see, these are tentative timelines. Actual timelines may vary based on the data availability. However, the project goal has to be smart enough, because if you know that you have to reduce the weight from 85 kg to 70 kg, you should be able to tell whether you can do it in 3 months, 4 months time, and so on. So when we are going to end the project, so it's all about where we are and where we want to go with your target and timelines. Important to note, you should ensure the project goal is aligned to the customer requirement. It has to be very much aligned to the customer requirement, because we are doing the project to see what customer requirements are, where we failed, what is the problem, and how we can improve that. Your project scope. Now your scope of the project is again an important factor, because let's say you have 3 different centers and you're talking about customer satisfaction. You have a center in 3 different cities, So your project scope should be limited to one city, or let's say 2 cities or 3 cities, whatever the case may be. So if only one city is in scope, I mean the one team in that particular city is in scope, rest of the 2 cities will be out of scope. And that is very important, to focus the problem area on a specific area. Your expected benefit, your expected quality net savings are important. Your cost of defects in the current process or the product or the service, whatever the case may be, you should be able to understand what the cost of defect is. And we will look at that cost of defect, cost of quality, and how you will calculate the cost and stuff in the third slide. But this time, here on the project charter, you should be able to tell how much you would be able to save, or what the expected net savings would be, what benefits you would be able to deliver to your internal and external clients. Your CTQ drill down. Now the CTQ drill down is again an important factor. So you have a high level overview and you want to get to a more specific base or a root level view. You should have this slide in the project. Now this slide talks about all important aspects of your project. So this slide should cover your project name, your project type, whether it's a yellow belt project, green belt project, a black belt project, or a master black belt project, and things like that. Your project category, whether it is a customer satisfaction project, whether it is a turnaround time improvement project, whether it is productivity improvement, whether it is accuracy improvement, or so on. Now this information is important when you have so many projects in the organizations and you collect data and you track that data and analyze that data as to how many customer satisfaction projects you've completed, how many TAT projects you've completed, and what savings you had, and so on. So that is to track or report out your business to your internal and external stakeholders. So this information is required and important from that perspective. So your project name is important, your type, the project type is important, but then the project category and stuff is required for further analysis. You can add or remove whatever aspects you do not need in the project or the project slide, but definitely you need the project name, you need the project type, and the project category. Let's move on to the next information, that is your process name and location, which process you are doing the project for and which location it is, the line of business, whether it is the insurance process, insurance, F&A process, or just the finance and accounts process, whether it's a travel F&A, retail F&A, insurance F&A, whether it is just the insurance process or the software support, and things on like that. A project metric or the CTQ name, for example, customer satisfaction CSAT score percent. So that's the CTQ. We were talking about customer satisfaction scores and the percent. Let's say it is at 35% and we want to take it to 85%. So that's the project metric. You look at your project Y definition. Now project Y definition talks about how you arrived at that CSAT score percent. So your numerator, your denominator, let's say the total count of 4 and 5 scores in the survey divided by total count of survey for the month and things like that. So as we looked at survey scores, we all know these surveys because we all use mobile phones, and I know that my mobile service provider sends me the survey every time I call them. So whether I liked the customer satisfaction, I mean I liked the service or not, and things like that. Your project target is an important aspect of the slide. So where we want to go, and then your project specification limits. This is important piece of information. Your project specification limits, your USL, LSL, your specification limits, acceptable boundaries to meet customer requirement. Then you should have data type, continuous data or discrete data, whatever applicable. So a continuous data that can be measured, discrete data that can be counted, and things like that. Your defect definition, I've simplified what defect we mean. So your product or service that fails to meet customer requirement. So in this case, the service scores 1, 2, 3 and stuff. Then you have unit. Again, simplified what unit is. So number of product or service that fails to meet customer requirement. So total number. And then opportunity. Here, before we look at what an opportunity is, I'll take an example of a shirt manufacturer. So time taken to stitch a shirt is a continuous data if you track that data. But then if you understand how many defective shirts, so that becomes a discrete data. So out of 100 shirts, you have 90 or you have 10 defective shirts. That's a discrete data. And then in a defect definition, again, so a shirt with incorrect collar stitched, or instead of 5 buttons you have 6 buttons. These are opportunities. So your buttons can be an opportunity, your collar can be an opportunity, the left and right size of the shirt is an opportunity, color of the different pieces used in the shirt is an opportunity. It can be anything. So there are different areas or number of areas within a product or service that fails to meet customer requirements would be your opportunity. And the unit in that example, your unit would be your shirt. Okay, now let's move on to another aspect of your project where you name your project leader, your project mentor. Your project mentor would be your black belt, and the mentor role, whether he is a black belt, a green belt, or a master black belt, and so on. Your project sponsor, again an important part, your project sponsor's name, your project champion's name, and your project master black belt's name there. So that's your project snapshot. Every slide is important, and even this slide is very important because this slide talks about what savings you will get, what financial benefits you would achieve from this project. So you would use the cost of quality framework. You would use that concept, the methodology that helps you define and measure where and what amount of your resources are being used for prevention activities, to preventive cost, and to maintain the product quality. Because definitely you would not like to invest on your external and internal failure costs, because that is cost of non-conformance, where you would look at the cost of rework, the cost of productivity loss, the cost of waste, think of increased support, because you will not be able to meet the customer requirement. Think of additional cost, and that will give you the cost that you can save. So you have to quantify that amount. You have to list down different types of failure costs, internal and external, and accordingly when you quantify, you get to know how much you are losing. So remember, in one of the commercials, a very important phrase was used: pay me now or pay me later. So either you pay me now, which means prevent the failure, invest on prevention and appraisal cost, or pay me later. So if you would not invest on cost of prevention and appraisal, definitely your customer will identify the failure and you would pay later through your rework, your productivity loss, your additional cost, operational cost, and all different kinds of waste. So this slide is very important. So the message is very clear that an organization can choose to invest in upfront quality cost to reduce or prevent the failure. The next slide, the project team roles and responsibilities. We were talking about sponsor's name, champion's name, and the project leader, project MBB name. So these team members, the project team members, their roles and their responsibilities will be listed in this slide. The project sponsor is from the executive leadership. He sets the direction and priorities for the organization and for the improvement initiatives. The project champion is a sponsor for specific project. The project champion will make the resources available for the project. The project champion will resolve operational issues, functional issues, and project challenges. The project leader will own the project and will lead the project from start to the end. The project MBB will guide and mentor teams. The project MBB is responsible for implementing Lean Six Sigma initiatives within the business, so a big role. And the project mentor, the black belt, would be a mentor for specific projects. He will help the project leader to complete the Lean Six Sigma project and so on. And then there would be other team members, the project team members, and these would be your subject matter experts. They will share key inputs and their experience. Moving on to the communication plan, which is very important. Communication has always been an important and fundamental skill in any organization, large or small. When communication is effective, it keeps all the stakeholders satisfied, sets the right expectations, and creates a stronger team to achieve a common goal. Now, why communication plan? Either you require your project status or project progress to be communicated, or your project toll gates or the reviews that happens to be communicated to different stakeholders. So how you would communicate this information? Who will communicate this information? When this information needs to be communicated, and so on. You also have inside and outside communication, so your monthly newsletter, your company meetings, or possibly the online information that is for the public about your organization. So you need to get the clear message out regularly to people inside and outside of the organization. So your communication plan is very important, and that sets the roles and responsibilities. Now coming to your project team ARMI or ARMI chart. or you can use it as RACI metrics. I mean, these are two different charts or metrics used. So ARMI or RACI metric is responsibility assignment chart. It assigns the responsibility to different stakeholders and maps out every task as per the milestones or key decisions involved in completing the project. Assigns which roles and responsibilities are for which stakeholder and for which action item. So ARMI it shows who is accountable and who needs to be consulted or informed. And that's your RACI, that stands for responsible, accounted, consulted and informed. Whereas your ARMI chart stands for who is approver, who is the resource of the team, who is the member of the team, and who is informed. I mean, who should be informed, who will not be actively participate in the project. So somebody will actively participate in the project and somebody will not actively participate in the project. Now let's move on to stakeholder analysis. Your stakeholders are important. Stakeholders are those who have interest in the project and in the outcome of the project. They can either affect the project or they can be affected by the project outcome. Stakeholder analysis is a tool used to identify stakeholder support, whether they will support the project or they will be against the project, their level of participation, their level of interest, their impact on the project and influence in the project. And it will also be used to determine how to involve and communicate with them. So let's say your stakeholders, if somebody would support the project, then how you would make the best use of it. But if somebody is not supporting the project, then you would understand the reasons, the potential reasons, and you would also look at mitigation strategy because you want to complete the project. So this stakeholder analysis is important. And with that, you would also look at threat and opportunity metrics. Like a SWOT analysis, a SWOT analysis is another framework for analyzing the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It helps you to build on what you do well and to address what you are not doing well, to minimize the risk and to take the greatest possible advantage of the chances for success. Similarly, you have this threat and opportunity metrics. These are two different. However, you look at threats and opportunities in this particular metric. It's a simple grid. It is used to identify threats and effects of not implementing a proposed change or a project, the solution from the project, or to identify potential benefits and opportunities if you implement the change, implement the solution from the project. So this is very important. Next, you have project timelines. Some people also use Gantt chart. So it is up to you how you want to use it, whether you use the Excel based timelines or you use the Gantt chart or what. It is all up to you, but then you should have the project timelines with different milestones and the dates and how the project flows. SIPOC, supplier, input, process, output, customer. Okay, so let's understand SIPOC in simple terms. So in life, in our personal life, in business, or in any industry, consider service industry, there is a giver and a receiver, or say provider. So service provider in case of telephone industry. So a service provider, telephone service provider becomes your supplier, and since we use these services, we become the customer, we receive. So somebody provides becomes the supplier, somebody receives the service or product becomes the customer. That's the start and the end point. So SIPOC is a high-level overview of the process where you understand where it starts from the supplier, where it ends at the customer. But an important aspect of this transaction is to know what are the inputs and what is the output. Because for every transaction, you need some inputs which are critical that would give you the outcome as an output. So the input here are very important. They are critical to process, without which your process will not be completed. So your inputs, for example, you take an example of a training. Supplier is your trainer, but the trainer will require the training room, training material, the training guide, or let's say SOP or standard operating procedure, your whiteboard, marker, duster, training plan, and so on. These are the inputs. If any one of these critical to process inputs would miss, the process will be impacted. The process of training or conducting a training will be impacted. And if the process is impacted, the output will be impacted. That's why your inputs are very important. The output in this case, in this example, would be clarity on how to apply a particular process with the help of the training. Somebody would take the training to get the clarity, to gain knowledge or the skills required to perform a task. But if the trainer would not have one or two of the critical to process inputs, he will not be able to deliver the required training, and the training output will be impacted. And that's why this SIPOC is important. So it is supplier, input, process, output, and the customer. Process maps. So in process map, there are different levels. Level 1, level 2, 3, 4, and 5. So process map is a visual flow of the process. This process map should have decision points, delay, the movement that happens within the process, handoffs if any, control points, and the direction. It should have the flow of the process. The map should have all of this with a start point where the process starts and the end point where the process ends. The visual flow would help the project with a gap analysis and value stream analysis. So a good process map would help the project and the user of the process map. So here we go with the correct project charter, your SIPOC, process map, expected benefits from the project, your project team, the communication plan, and all these slides would help you complete the define phase. And then you face toll gate review. Once the review is successfully completed, you get the sign off from the stakeholders and you move on to measure phase. We will look at measure phase separately. We will have a step-by-step Lean Six Sigma DMAIC project roadmap that will help every project manager to complete the project, and this guidebook will serve as a single point of knowledge base. Subscribe this channel and be connected. Let's share knowledge and give it back to the society. Thank you and be with us. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe this channel for more educational videos and press the bell icon to get the latest updates. We would appreciate if you like, comment and share. Thank you once again.